Welcome back to First Take. Right now on ESPN.com, Jeremy Fowler and Tim McManus did a deep dive into the friction between Jalen Hurts and the Eagles last season and what's at stake now in 2026. The piece highlights Hurts and the Eagles staff really not seeing eye to eye on play calling last season. According to sources, Hurts has pushed back on changes that would diversify the scheme, including when it comes to him going under center more, something that new offensive coordinator Sean Mannion likes to implement, which puts Hurts now at a crossroads this upcoming season. Some of the growing frustration in 2025 about having to rely too much on Saquon Barkley was directed at Hurts, team sources said, including by A.J. Brown, whose longstanding relationship with the quarterback has obviously been tested and we've talked a lot about. Kmart is now here with us. And Kmart, how are you?
Good. How are you, honey?
Good. How concerned should Eagles fans be about what is going on right now offensively?
Philly is unlike any place I've seen from the standpoint of, it seems like there's only 2 seasons in that city. It's we should fire the head coach, get rid of the quarterback, everything is terrible, or everything is so great, we're in the Super Bowl. I can tell you, I talk to a lot of people in the NFL, and there are a lot of head coaches and a lot of GMs that wish they'd have the Philly problems. They've been to the Super Bowl twice in the last few years and won one, right? When it comes to Jalen Hurts, the big question that I've asked over the years, right, is Jalen Hurts somebody who holds the offense back? And depending on who you talk to, you get a yes or a no. And this is people outside the building, other teams inside. And I think with Jalen Hurts, you got to understand he's not the traditional pocket passer quarterback. He's not, if you're looking for him to be Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Joe Burrow, that's not what he is. But what he is, however, is somebody who has a clutch gene like none other. He's somebody who's a coach's kid. He's somebody who Jeff Lurie, the owner of the team yesterday in Phoenix, where I was, talked to reporters about how he is the biggest Jalen Hurts fan. He loves the way he plays. He loves that guy and the type of leader that he is. So when I struggle with this article, not because what's in it isn't anything, I'm not questioning the reporting, but in Philly, where there's a team that has had such success and Jalen has been a Super Bowl MVP, the fact that we're even looking at him and wondering, people are looking at him and wondering, can he be the future quarterback here, to me is just maddening. And I don't understand. It just seems like the regular issues just get overbloated, Philly.
Stephen A.
Jalen Hurts has completed 48% of his downfield passes, which is the lowest of his career. If we really, really want to put it where the GOATs can get it and bring it home, there are question marks about his throwing accuracy, ability, presumably from his wide receiver, and to lesser degree from his coach. Because if you got a cat that can fling that football and you're confident in it, why so much the dependency on Saquon Barkley, particularly last year? A.J. Brown said it best early in the season. He said, this ain't last year. We won the Super Bowl. Okay, I got that part. But now there's a new year, and other teams are better prepared. They waiting for us. They ready for us. What we doing about that? Now, it doesn't help that this is going to be Jalen Hurts' 5th offensive coordinator in 5 years. That certainly doesn't help. And that's an indictment against the Eagles as an organization and Howie Roseman. I think it's the only thing that you can say about him that's an indictment, because I consider him the best executive in the sport. But the bottom line is 5 offensive coordinators in 5 years is problematic. 2 of them went and got head coaching jobs. I get that part. But the point is, there are question marks. And then when you look at Jalen Hurts from this perspective, you can't ignore that either. I'm looking at some of these numbers right here. 48 regular season wins to touch on Kimberly's point. That ranks 2nd in the NFL to Josh Allen. 6 postseason wins since this is all 2022 to 2025. That's 2nd to Patrick Mahomes. 138 touchdowns accounted for. That ranks 2nd behind Josh Allen with 2 Super Bowl appearances and a win. So the end results are something that he helps provide. There is no doubt about this. But when you look at some of the elite quarterbacks in the game of football and you look at how they fling that damn football, that is not something that's ever said about Jalen Hurts consistently. He'll show it one game, another game it might not be there like that. It's problematic for him when your star wide receiver seems to be very, very frustrated, if not, dare I say, unhappy. That ain't just about the play calling. That's about the quarterback. Because I've never met a receiver in my life that has an all-world quarterback and they ain't happy. Now, you got an all-world quarterback, you happy. You understand? You might not be happy with the coach. Might not be happy with the team. But you certainly don't want to leave your quarterback when that brother is getting you the football and he could throw his behind off. Nah, you ain't trying to leave that quarterback.
Well, number one, I'm still waiting for A.J. Brown to have a press conference after he dropped pass after pass after pass in the fourth quarter against San Francisco.
Fair.
And didn't even have a chance to talk to the media. I mean, I haven't heard from him since. So A.J. Brown is probably the biggest reason why they lost to the 49ers in the playoff game, because he dropped 3 passes on that last drive. If he would have caught one of them, they would have beaten San Francisco and gotten the divisional round. Let's be honest. Let's say it the way it is, and that is accurate. And he has said nothing. He'll do all the State Farm commercials you want, but we haven't seen him talk to the media. You know what? I screwed up. I should have caught the ball. He didn't. He dropped 3 in a row. That's the first thing. Second thing, as Kimberly said, he's been in 2 Super Bowls. He would have been the MVP of both if they got the call right in the Kansas City game.
Yeah.
When they called the hold, which they shouldn't have called, they would have kicked the field goal. Yeah. He would have gone right down the field, tied it up, and they would have won, and he was the MVP of the second Super Bowl. What does Philadelphia want, for crying out loud? You got a quarterback here who's been to 2 Super Bowls, won one of them, was the MVP, and could have won the other one with a little break with the officiating. He scored 35 points in the game. They lost 38-35. Yeah. I mean, gee whiz. Why? Because he doesn't get it from under center, so we're annoyed? I mean, you got to be. And he's making $30-40 million a year. You can't trade him anyway. What, do you want to have freaking Carson Wentz be your quarterback? I mean, my God almighty, please. The Eagles people, the coaching staff, whoever's screaming and yelling, take it easy. You got a heck of a player there who's won twice. What else do you want, for crying out loud?
I'm not absolving Jalen Hurts of he has to play better. He needs to be better. But when when you say he doesn't fling the football around the field, does flinging the football down the field equal Super Bowls? Is that the stat that says, because Josh Allen should have a bunch of Super Bowls, shouldn't he? Like Joe Burrow should have a bunch of Super Bowls, shouldn't he? That to me is not the definitive stat. But yes, Jalen Hurts has to be better. But what we're asking of him, there has to be synergy across the board from OC, who they keep changing, and quarterback and the offense.
I get you. I'm not disagreeing with you, but your argument still goes out the window the minute you say that he needs to be playing better, and you got an all-world quarterback getting paid, wide receiver, getting paid $32 million. That's complaining. So the point is that you're pointing out something. And we can look at Jalen Hurts, and we know how terrific he's been. We know he would have been an MVP 2 times over had they beaten Kansas City the first go-round. But in the end, the bottom line is we do a show on a daily basis. And weekly in the National Football League, when we've had conversations on Jalen Hurts, there have been too many times where we've sat up there and looked at a guy who's a Super Bowl champion and the Super Bowl MVP and said, he's got to play better. And we pointed to A.J. Brown. There's a reason for all of that is all I'm saying. I love him. I think the Philadelphia fans get used to him. He ain't going nowhere, and he shouldn't go anywhere. But there have been times you looked at him and said, damn, he got to throw that football better. He just does.
There were multiple quarters last year where the Eagles had negative yards.